the last time we spoke was actually in April of this year, which feels like a wildly different time than right now, which is only a few months, but it feels like quite a different time. So how are you doing in this increasingly crazy year of 2020?
Well, I have been getting auditions nonstop, which is nice, but everything feels like it's going very, very fast. But because, like you said, everything is just constantly, rapidly changing, and it's surreal to try and get through. But I guess I'm just trying my best to keep my mind focused in one or two places, and continued trying to do what I do best.
Definitely. And honestly, everyone that I've talked to this year, as the year kind of, rolls on as it tends to do, everybody kind of looks for that silver lining. And I was going back over the history of Last Kids, and it actually debuted on Netflix just a little bit over a year ago. So just in terms of Last Kids on Earth being on Netflix, getting to experience a new medium of storytelling, having it find its audience, how has that experience been for you as the star of the show?
It's been, fantastic. I mean, the fact that, we have toys now and the books as well as the show. It's like a big franchise now, which is fantastic. And all these kids love it. And I'm seeing people, talking about it on Twitter. Cause sometimes I search the show up and just see, if people are talking about it recently. And yesterday I saw, they're talking about it more than ever. Cause the audience for the show is very much the little kids. But it's great to see that people a little older are able to enjoy it and watch it, which is awesome.
Absolutely. And even old folks like me, I get to watch it and enjoy it too, and it's an absolute blast. There are fun things in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There are super fun things in there for folks who grew up with, Mark Hamill and Bruce Campbell and Catherine O'Hara. So there's a lot of fun stuff in there for the whole family. But yeah, it's a great kind of watch. It feels like a throwback to a Saturday morning cartoon, which is what we love.
Yeah, I think I talked to you about that in the previous interview. We were talking about how there's just so much for the older audience in terms of either references or cast members and all that stuff.
Definitely. And since you mentioned the books as well, since this is a big franchise now, and there's tons of fans everywhere for the books and the show itself, Season 3 or Book 3 adapts The Nightmare King. So for folks out there who may not be familiar with your character or the show or the books itself, how would you set up, Jack's kind of journey so far and how he got to where he is in Season 3?
So Jack started out as this very lonely character. His foster parents kind of abandoned him. But through the apocalypse, he met June, Quint, and Dirk. Well, he already knew June and Quint. Dirk was kind of his bully that along the way became his really good friend. Mm-hmm. And they kind of formed this family together. And through trust, they were able, and, bonding, they were able to get to know each other better and fight off the apocalypse. They also they also met these monsters that came from a different dimension, that an alien called Rezok sent them through. And they met a bunch of monsters, namely Thrall, who was a very, very much almost like a father figure to Jack, but something happens regarding them that I'm not going to get into in case you haven't seen the first season. But I love the character designs are great. They're all different shapes and sizes, and there's just a lot of great fun. There's comedy, drama, action. It's got the whole shebang.
Yeah, fun is definitely the first thing that kind of comes to mind when I think of describing this series. And speaking to the showrunner and then creator Scott and Max as well, fun is always kind of the driving force in the creation of this thing. Does that come through in the voice recording booth as well? Is that sort of like a note that you get, just have fun with it?
I wouldn't say it's a note, but we definitely just end up having fun naturally.
Sure.
And it's great because we all get to kind of not riff off each other because, we got to stick to the script, but we each say our lines one after the other for the actors, and that's fantastic for chemistry, both in the show and outside of the show. So that's great.
And then one of the things I really like seeing in this season, and you kind of alluded to it already, is the world of Last Kids. It feels like it expands quite a bit more because we have our foursome of our heroes, but we also have a bunch of monster friends, and they're kind of all building this community together. So they're still kind of figuring out how their relationships are going to work, but it seems like everything's going really well. So what do you think Jack's headspace is kind of like at the beginning of this season when everything's like going his way?
I think honestly he's really satisfied and happy that, like you said, everything is going his way. You know, they're by Joe's Pizza now, which is kind of the headquarters where they get lots of info on missions. You know, Bartle and Skelka and Chef are right there. You know, you get some weird interdimensional pizza or some human pizza. Dirk helped teach him how to make some actual, you know, stuff that humans can eat.
Exactly.
And Skelka maybe for battle advice, Bartle for magic or wisdom in regards to if they have a mission. But it's just fantastic because Jack finally has that family he's always wanted, and friends and all that stuff. And right now, I think everyone's in a pretty good headspace.
Definitely, and that's kind of how we start out the season, but as you know, and if you guys have watched this show or really any show before, you have to have some kind of conflict, some kind of threat. So we learned pretty early on in this season that, yes, there is an external threat of they're still living in this post-apocalypse that's like overrun by monsters from other dimensions, but there's a kind of a more personal one. The kids learn that there may be other human survivors out there, so maybe give us kind of a peek into how Jack kind of reacts to that, because it might not be the way you think he would react.
Yeah. So the problem with Jack not the problem, but the thing about Jack this season is that, you know, he was left by his foster family. He was betrayed by a character last season. Mm-hmm. So it gets to a point, you know, last season where he didn't really know who to trust, but he slowly, you know, learns how to regain his composure. But he's been through so much in such a short period of time that he's kind of afraid that, you know, his friends discover this radio and they find out they're not the last people on Earth. He's afraid of losing that, just like forever. And it's pretty understandable. And I sympathize with that. But, yeah, it's definitely a hardship he has to deal with throughout the season.
Definitely, and because of that kind of storytelling, it feels a lot more personal. It feels like this season 3, it's more about kind of internal or emotional conflicts than necessarily, you know, we still have the external battles and you get to swing your bat and get to fight everything as well. But for you get to have some really emotional scenes with some of your co-stars there. So what was that like for you to kind of tap into maybe a different side of Jack and explore that vulnerable side, but also kind of the hurt and maybe some anger that he had?
I was actually rewatching episode 9 of book 1 recently, and I remembered that I recorded Jack very solemnly for the part where after, you know, he gets betrayed, and then he throughout the episode regains his composure again. But there are parts in this season, or this book rather, where Jack kind of goes crazy. Like he kind of loses himself, and I mean that both figuratively as well as literally, because there's Rezok actually. There's something that ends up happening with Rezok this season that Jack can't really tell anyone about because he's worried that everyone will freak out, you know. And he doesn't want them to panic. That's the last thing he wants right now. He wants to, you know, try to convince them to stay, but not only does he have to deal with the fact that his friends might be leaving, he also has to deal with the fact that he's got something, like, supernatural inside him that, like, he can't control and potentially is, like, spying on them or perhaps, you know, using him for like otherworldly deeds, like genuinely evil stuff. So Jack kind of, there's some of the season is it does definitely get darker than the first season. Jack is very much uncomposed and a little unstable in this season, and it's not even his fault.
Right. Yeah, Jack has a pretty tough time.
That's not his fault.
No, he's definitely got a tough time. He's facing some personal demons, some almost literal demons, and then he's balancing trying to keep his friend group together, and he's concerned about losing them and what the future kind of holds, and especially right as they just kind of built this new community of humans and monsters, and everything seemed to be going well. Max and Scott kind of likened it to maybe a group of friends who graduate from high school, and then some go to college and some don't. So it's that sort of feeling of being left behind. Have you ever felt anything kind of like that? Can you put yourself in Jack's shoes for a little bit there?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first got out of high school, there was definitely a point where everyone was going to do big things, and in terms of just like academics, like everyone was going to university, but I didn't really want to go to university, so I didn't for a while, and then I decided to take like a semester of college. I tried to get into UBC, but I couldn't, so I went to the college right beside it to try and get good grades, but then voice acting really took off for me, and it ended up like all working out. So, I mean, I definitely know the feeling like that before, where it feels like people are your friends are, so ahead of you or moving away, especially after high school when everyone's going off to do their own thing. Some people I haven't seen in like years since graduation, but sometimes that's just how things go, and you gotta learn to live with it, learn to grow with it. And plus you can always talk to them online and all that stuff. But I guess Jack can't really do that, which is even more of a reason for him to be freaked out by this radio thing.
Exactly. Yeah, and I kind of like how everybody, like each of the characters has a thing that they're wrestling with and struggling with this season, and I like how relatable all that was. But I don't want to give listeners the impression it's all doom and gloom. This is like maybe the most fun I've ever kind of seen in a season so far, because we get so many characters, so many more kind of imaginative events. I mean, we've got kart racing, we've got new tech that Quint is making up, we've got Bartle churning out all kinds of magic, we got Chef cooking up interdimensional pizzas, and Dirk is eating some questionable things. Yeah.
Oh no, you're.
I don't mean to describe it all doom and gloom. It's still Last Kids. It's still like going to be really funny, and there's still going to be lots of the same humor from the last season, and all the. It's still going to have all the classic Last Kids stuff, but there's also parts that are going to get a little deeper for Jack specifically. So look out for that. That should be interesting.
Definitely. Yeah, it's fun because you get to play kind of that whole range. You get to just kind of go wild and be a kid in the post-apocalypse just having a blast. And then you also get to dig in some deeper stuff too. So what was it kind of like? What was it like for you on the other end of the spectrum? Because there's a lot of, without giving spoilers away, there's a lot of sort of like Dreamscape action sequences where you really get to have a full reign of the imagination. So what was that like for you to perform some of these actions and dialogue that kind of break the shackles of reality a little bit, let's say?
I remember the first dream sequence we recorded. I put my all into it, and I was very. At first, I was very shocked at what what the dream sequence portrayed, and I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but I was. I was shocked, like, wow, we're really doing this. We're really doing this in the show. That's incredible. Especially given like, what we've done so far with the humor and with the seriousness. So we're really taking this next level. But that first Dreamscape sequence, I remember vividly recording, and that was, I think, one of my favorite parts of this season or this book to record. So look out for that. You're gonna be surprised, to say the least.
Definitely. No, that was an absolute blast. It was really fun to watch those sequences, and a little bit of scary stuff here. This is October. It's Halloween month. It's spooky season. This is a perfect time for this particular season to be popping up on Netflix. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Exactly.
Get in the spooky mood. Before I run out of time with you, I did want to jump into some spoiler talk. So after the events of Season 3 kind of take place, we have a bit of a stinger at the end where we have a new monster who appears and a new character who appears. We also get a new title sequence with the sound of jingle bells and some snow on the screen, which, as fans of the books out there know, is a nod towards the Christmas-themed Cosmic Beyond. Is there anything you can tease about that? We know we're still waiting for Netflix to give the green light on a potential season 4, but did you have any involvement with that whatsoever?
So I do remember actually recording a little whoa cool at the end of book 3, but I don't know if that actually got in. I don't know if that actually got into the season. That being said, I do remember that when I originally did my Jack audition, there were lines from the Cosmic Beyond that I actually did. No one's ever heard it, and no one ever will, unless we do this new book. And I really hope we do, because I really love working on Last Kids. And I really love, working with everyone and meeting all these people and the writers, producers, everyone is so awesome. It's such a great project. I'm getting sentimental now, but it's such a fun ride. But that being said, besides that part in the audition and that little stinger at the end, I know nothing about a Cosmic Beyond adaptation as of yet.
Fair enough.
So we are hoping. The best way you can support the series is buy the books, buy the toys, watch the show on Netflix, and just keep supporting the series, because that's how we get more seasons. Also, there is 2 more things after this that haven't been announced yet. It's not necessarily an adaptation of Cosmic Beyond, but I think you all are really gonna like it, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. But there's a couple more things coming down the pipeline that we've done, so.
I will say one thing for you, sir. Your Whoa Cool does make it into the end of season 3 proper, so congratulations on that.
Yes, okay, they kept it in.
You got your Whoa Cool in. I don't know what those projects are. Max and Scott teased them as well. I have no idea what they are, but I'm very excited and looking forward to those. And yeah, everybody out there who's putting your holiday shopping list together, put Last Kids merch and everything else on your list, and let's see if we can get Cosmic Beyond going too. I would love to see that as a fan.
What's great about Cosmic Beyond is that it's so different. Like book 1, book 2, and book 3 are all set in sunny, kind of Wakefield. Mm-hmm. Cosmic Beyond is very, very blizzardy and snowy, and there's a lot of abandoned areas, and it gets kind of cold and dark, and there's some character moments that you haven't really seen before. Some actual dire, possibly fatal consequences end up happening, and these 2 new villains that you haven't met before. There's so much potential for an adaptation. But yeah, support the series.
Definitely. No, we're super excited. At the end of the day, that's
all that matters.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, it's cool. And if you just want to see, like you said, season 3, we got to see all these kind of dreamscape sequences and really imaginative stuff where you don't have to let, reality kind of restrict you as much as a monster-infested post-apocalypse is reality. But then season 4, we get to see Atomic Cartoons make a snowscape, and everybody gets to have a snow day. And who doesn't want to see that?
Exactly.
So we're definitely looking forward to that. Sir, my last question for you today before I have to let you go. What is up next for you, whether it is Last Kids related or otherwise?
So I'm currently signed on to a series called New Gen with my brother Finn Wolfhard.
Cool.
And Anya Chalotra.
From Wicked.
Yeah, I'm currently signed on to an animated series with my brother and Anya Chalotra called New Gen. And I'm not allowed to say what character I am or anything like that, but that's going to be a lot of fun. And other than that, I also recently recorded an Adult Swim pilot called Smiling Friends, and hopefully there will be more of that as well in the future. Other than that, I'm always online. My social media is twitter.com/Nick_Wolfhard, and my Instagram is Instagram.com/TheWolfhard. And that's where you can find me. So I'm any news or any announcements that you want to see, or just me, kind of just messing around. That's where you will find what I'm up to.
Fantastic. That sounds good. I know the last time we talked, I got you to do, I think, what are they called? Like Schneebly's impression. I got you to do your Schneebly's recording from Smiling Friends.
I won't put you through that again.
You're talking about the Bleeblies.
The Bleeblies, yeah. So I won't put you through that again.
I remember. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I wanted to ask about New Gen since I haven't heard of that. Can you tease the genre or maybe the network? Is there anything you can tease about that one?
I'll say this. If you want to learn about New Gen, there are 2 separate comic series, one of which is a prequel, and that will let you know all you need to know about the series until the show comes out. So, that being the characters, the setting, the world, everything like that. So, But I will say it's focused on 2 brothers, and that's all I can really say.
Fair enough.
That's a great tease, and good teases for hopefully the future of Last Kids on Earth too. But in the meantime, everybody can check out your work, fantastic stellar work of you and your co-stars on Netflix for Last Kids on Earth. Thank you so much again for your time today, and best of luck with the rest of 2020 and everything else going forward. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Dave. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care.